only know him through his music. And what he describes in his music is a lifestyle that I'm accustomed to. Not the lavish part of it, but the part of it that centers around being in the hood and having that mentality of a person that's in the hood. So I definitely, hands down, identify with everything that he raps about. On the other hand, D1, I kind of got a personal relationship with D. Me and D have a lot of conversations. I know his background. I know where he come from. I've been around him. I've seen his career excel to the point where it is now. I've also seen where it come from. We've been in the studio together. We got a personal relationship, as everybody know. But for the most part, so I understand D and what D stand on. D stand on the fact that he see an era in hip hop that he didn't like, so therefore he voiced his opinion through his music. He stand on principles. He stand on that Bible. He stand on his relationship with Jesus. He stand on his relationship with Christianity, and nothing to be able to sway him away from that. So anything that's contrary to that, of course, he's gonna feel a different way about it. But he also understand, because he come from an era and a place where he was head on with violence. It struck him in the heart when his best friend got killed, Carl. So at the end, so I guess with that, that's his state. That's his state, right? So for me, when I listen to songs by artists, not just single out Rick Ross, but artists in general that rap about the hood and the things that were seen in the hood, I can recall a time in hip hop where the higher ups were saying that the music had an influence on the behavior of people. And we was against that. Like, nah, rap is rap, man. It's rap. We only telling the stories that, and being an artist myself, we rap, man. We just doing what we see. We rapping about what we see, right? Or how we actually live. But I never, in the younger state of mind, I never realized that the music did have an influence. So now, presently, I get to look back and I get to see that, hey man, listen at the content of the music. Listen what it's talking about. Cause I found myself at times, man, riding recently. I'm riding and I'm listening to what I'm listening to because I'm on it, and I like the Lil Durks. I like the Lil Babies. I like the NBA Young Boys. A part of me really identify with that lifestyle, man, and I it's part of my addiction. My addiction is to that lifestyle because I come from it, but so I listened to it and I found myself, man, all my thoughts, I'm thinking about murder, I'm thinking about ways to kill people, I'm thinking about, I'm paranoid when I go places, and luckily I learned tools, right, to be able to think about what I'm thinking about and realize how what I'm thinking about making me feel. So I take that moment to do that, and as I'm thinking about what I'm thinking, I'm like, why am I thinking these thoughts like this here? Why I keep thinking about murder and all these different scenarios with guns involved in violence and a negative side of my thought, my psyche. So I had to realize and answer that question. It took me a few days. You know what? It's the music. It's what I'm listening to. So let me fall back and stop listening to it for a minute and see. That's just my scientific experiment on myself when I come face to face with something that I need to challenge about myself. I look at it head on, and so that's what I did. And I realized that it's what you're listening to every day. You wake up listening to this. You go to bed listening to this. This is what's the first thing on your mind when you wake up. You singing these songs that get amped about the day. So, and that put me in a mind frame. So I changed that. I changed that, took control of my thoughts in the morning. And then I realized that music does have an influence on behavior, because music makes you feel a certain type of way. And when you feel a certain type of way, you begin to react a certain type of way to that feeling. First, it begins with the thought. You hear it, you start to think it, you begin to feel a certain type of way. That feeling turns into an action, and that action has a consequence. So I totally understand even the perspective that, hey man, this music, that you're pushing could have that's having a negative effect on the masses of the people. And in that sense, he's absolutely correct. And I'm in 100% agreement with him. Now, it can seem like he's forcing people to make a choice. You either gonna be hot, cold, because it ain't no lukewarm in this thing. And that's a fact. That's Bible. That's in the Word. That's in what he believes in. So at the end of the day, you stand on that, but there's another side to Raw's side. This is how I live. This is what I see. No, it's not what I do presently, but it's my mindset. So, and I believe that all of us have, if you can take that and use that and bring that, we go into the same place. So I can understand how the music that's being pushed through the media is having a negative effect on the people that are in the valley, that are in the hood. Because if I'm a little kid and I'm listening to Ross and I'm listening to Meek and I'm listening to whoever I'm listening to, and I see the shine, I see what you're saying, I see how you're saying you got it, I need to, and I don't have it, so I need to get it like that too. And what's the way that I get it like that? I do what you did. I sell dope, I get out there. Which is what I did. I'm a product of hip hop. The street culture was all hip hop. The hip hop artists got their styles and their swag from the street dealers, the guys that was on the street. So I knew the guys that was on the street because I was one of the guys that was on the street. So I was never influenced by rap. I was more influenced by the guys that was in my neighborhood, but they gave the image of rappers. So when I identified with the rappers, I identified with the ones that was in the hood, and that's what I became. No, it wasn't all music, but hip hop had a big influence in it. And I remember a time, like I said earlier, where in one side of the media was standing on what these standing on now. Hey man, that music that they putting out is messing up the youth. Is degrading to women, especially black women. It puts the black man in beast mode. It makes him, gives himself a image of himself, of a beast, of a gangster, of a killer, of a thug, and this is what he mirrors to the world. And this is what they were saying, but we were saying, no, that's not the case. Music don't do that. Rap is just like rock and roll. Rap is just like R&B. Well, now we see how the music can have an influence. Now we see that music does have an influence. So the discussion is important because I believe and I feel the ones that was the higher ups that pushed the meat that was in control of the media, that were saying that's a potential threat. That's a thing that y'all doing that's gonna hurt. That's not right. And we pushed in and said, nah, because the music had a message in it prior to that era. And that's what they didn't want to get out, in my opinion. But later capitalized on that when money got involved. You know what? Let's start giving them some money. We give them some money, we can let them destroy their own selves. So we push it in the media, we give the money, and we push hip hop, and hip hop, the music changed. And when the music changed in hip hop, you went from your poor righteous teachers to your public enemies, your KRS-Ones, guys that made music like that, or even the hood music that, like the Slick Ricks, that told stories, and they were about events that happened in the hood, but it had a different meaning. It had a message to it. But once the game changed and this thing became just about the money and the flashing and the shining and okay, let's take control of it now. So when you take control of it, you implement a new era of hip hop. And the new era of hip hop came spinning and shooting and using drugs and getting high, and that's what's now. So look at not only hip hop, because when you look at it, if I take a 10-year-old kid, 5-year-old kid, and I'm giving him a game a few years ago, and I'm giving him GTA, and he's been growing up playing this for years, and it's showing him how to carjack, it's showing him how to rob old ladies of their purses, it's showing them how to kill. This is what it is. It's showing them how to steal. It's not showing them how to work or get it. It's showing them how to get it, not even by hustling, selling drugs and getting it, by taking it. So he took everything that he owned on the game. Got the house, got the cars, got the clothes, got the jewelry, got all this, but he took all this here by doing illegal activities. And this is what was training him. So now, put him in the world. If ISIS can psychologically control your child from a computer and turn him into a rebel, the video game is able to do the same things through subliminal imaging. So now when you put a gun in his hand, he's not afraid to kill, because psychologically he's already killed. In his mind, he did this before. He didn't went through the feeling and emotion of doing this. He didn't practice it. He didn't thought about it. So when he do it in real life, it has no effect on him. And that's what was pushed through the media. And that is what was pushed all the way through until it now bubbles out of control. So it's not just about Rick Ross and D1. It's a whole machine behind this. It's a whole movement behind this. It's a genocide. It's been a genocide because we lost control of what was ours, and hip hop was ours. We lost control of hip hop, and hip hop became what it is today. And there's no way that anyone can deny the fact that music, whether positive or negative, has an effect on feelings, emotions, and behaviors. And ultimately, all of that come with results, consequences for every action. And some of the action that was taken, because of for some of us, that's the only form of education we getting. It's what we hearing in the music and seeing on the videos. So I understand both perspectives, because for me, I dealt with that my whole life. I've had a D1 on this shoulder and a Rick Ross on this shoulder my whole life. And that's all this is. It's two different lifestyles. It's two different upbringings. It's two different mentalities. It's not about, for me, it's not about who's right or who's wrong. But for me, it's about, let's look at the mental state. Let's look at all of the negatives. And if it's going to be addressed, it got to be addressed to everybody. Just to look at it. Not saying you have to change it. Not saying that either or is right or wrong. But when I view the state of hip-hop, and from a time when this happened, this same